He is Jehovah. He is everything. He is all in all. Inside of him, there is no fault. Inside of him, there is no lack. He is the God that fills everything in everything because he's everything. And if you don't trust me, then you can go ahead and look for it yourself. I promise you, he will not let you down. If there's anything, I will bet on Jesus any day. I have no money. The answer, Jesus. My house isn't working. Jesus. My kids are being dysfunctional. Jesus. My marriage is on the fritz. Jesus. And it may sound crazy, but the reality is he is the answer to everything. And it's easy to bend your knees in prayer. You got everything because you can say, God, I thank you for everything that I have. And you've been so great. You've been so wonderful. But can you still bend your knees when you know that you need because you have none? And I'm not just talking about things physically. I'm not just talking about a house and cars and everything. No, I'm talking about everything. God, I need more of you because the eye is starting to elevate a little too much. God, I need more of you because I can't handle my kids. My patience is just going everywhere. God, I need more of you because my marriage is going to break down. God, if you're not in the center of it, God, I can't do anything, God. So I have to trust that he will make a way. He will come in and do whatever he has to do. But that comes in a place of surrender and humility. I cannot do this on my own. This is not about me. It has nothing to do with me. It may be for me, but it's all through him. And if I look at it like it's all through me, I will fail even myself. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do. I love my wife. She's beautiful, but it has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with my kids, and they're wonderful. It has everything to do with him. And unfortunately, we've made it about everybody else. I can't preach today because I got into an argument with my wife. But it's not about them. It's about him. Just say, I'm sorry, baby. I love you, baby. We'll make this up later. I'll buy you some flowers and chocolate later, baby. It's all about him. And until we get that perspective, we won't be able to trust him. We can't. Because if I'm trusting him and I'm trying to walk with him every day, and this is my walk with him, right? If I'm trusting him, I have to give him everything. He's Jesus, by the way. I just don't want you to think that I'm talking about Ariel, I'm talking about Jesus. So for now, you're Jesus. And I'm walking with Jesus every day. So I have to be able to trust him with everything. I cannot walk with him like this and my hand back here holding the baggage that I've been carrying for so long. Come on, I need you guys to catch that. So I can't. You know what? No, come here, Bob. Come here. Stand behind me. And this is how I'm walking. Yeah, God, I trust you. You still back there? Yeah, you got it. All right. Yeah, God, I trust you. I give you all my heart. I give you all everything. Let me check the bag real quick. Yeah, my pain is still there. Yeah, the things I went through are still there. Oh, you know what? Yeah, my financial burden is just there. Yeah, I trust you, God. I trust you. See, the difference is I can't walk like this. The way I have to walk is like this. Here, God, I give you everything. And I let you do what you got to do. And now I walk behind because now I'm walking behind. He is the image now. He is in me. So now I walk. And I'm like, God, I give you everything. I give you my problems. I give you my heartache, the things that happened to me when I was 5, the things that happened to me in my teenage years, the things that happened to me throughout my life. And this is how I walk now. I walk like this, making sure that he has everything in his hand. Because if I keep walking like this is what's going to eventually happen. Yeah, God, I trust you. I trust you, God. I trust you 100%. I trust you. Yeah, thank God that I got you now because now I know I have something to physical that I can put my attachments to. See, I can see my pain, so I know it's there. I can feel my hurt, so I know it's real. I can feel this. But you see, he stares at me, and I look at him, and I'm like, wait, if I put my eyes on the Lamb, all I know is he wants this. All he needs is that. I give it to him, I surrender it all, and now I know I can trust him because I put it all there. I can't put my full trust on God while holding on to everything that I've ever been through. You guys are great. You can sit down. So my trust in God is not based on either things that I've gone through or things that he's done. It's based on his name. It's based on his name. I can't tell you the countless times that I've cried out his name because I knew there was no other thing to do. There was nothing physical. There was nothing that I could have. And based on this, my proximity to God is not based on his desire to be near to me, but in my willingness and availability to receive the invitation. I'm going to repeat that again. My proximity to God is not based on his desire to be near to me, but in my willingness and availability to his invitation. Because he may desire to be as close to me as possible. But if I'm not willing and available to receive the invitation, come on, I wish. Because he desires to be close to you, but do you desire to be close to him? He is 100% devoted to everything about you, but are you 100% devoted onto who he is? He wants to be near to you, but do you want to be near to him? He desires to be with you, but do you desire to be with him? This walk is a two-way decision. He will not intrude. He says, for I knock on the door, and those who hear my voice will answer. He doesn't say, I kick down the door, drag you out the house, and tell you you're coming with me anyway. He gives you the option. I'm inviting you to communion. Will you commune with me? You see, communion has the root word common. He wants to have communion with you. He wants to have community with you. He wants to have communication with you. All these words have the root word common. He wants to have everything in common with you. He wants you to be walking. It's what Paul says, that we are open letters, that they can see him in me, not me in me. That they can see everything about who he is inside of me. That when they look at me, they don't see Leo, they see Jesus. That when they look at Ariel, they don't see Ariel, they see Jesus. That when they look at Carlos, they don't see Carlos, they see Jesus. And the only way that's ever going to happen is when we walk in communion, when we walk in intimacy, when we walk in relationship, when we walk with Jesus. Last week, Pastor talked about Enoch, who walked with Jesus and then he was no more. One of the greatest stories and it's crazy because you're saying, how is that a great story? Because this man walked 365 years, not days, 365 years with Jesus. And then he was no more. Can you fathom that? That I walked so close with God that he literally just says, you know what, dude, I'm not even going to come on. Let's go. That was my Hispanic. He just says, come on. You've walked with me so close. People know that you walked with me. You know, there was this one time, and it only happened to me one time. So I definitely got to get closer to God. No, I'm just kidding. This one time this happened to me. Seriously, it only happened to me one time in my life. I was walking by myself, and someone literally asked me, who's that guy you were walking with? I was like, I don't know who you talking about, because I was alone. Honestly, in the moment, it scared me. Until I remembered, when he asked that question, I was literally praying while I was walking. And I was praying, and I was, just, God, whatever, just having a conversation with him. I'm just talking to him and everything. I remember someone asked me, who are you walking with? I don't know. I was by myself. And when I got into my car was when I realized, and I said, wow, now I understand why they asked that question. You don't walk alone. And that's where your trust is. That's where your trust is. Because while you're walking, it's easy to get caught up in what you see, even to get caught up in what you feel. Because how many times have we not trusted God because we were hurt by somebody else? Don't raise your hands, please. Keep that to yourself. But just keep that in your head. How many times did we stop trusting God because we were hurt by somebody else? And God, I can't trust you because this person, man, they hurt me and blah, blah, blah. And they're supposed to be your people, and they preach and they talk to you and they do this and they do that and they hurt me, so I can't trust you, man. I can't trust you, God. I can't trust what you say because this person hurt me. That has nothing to do with it. He's still human. He will fail. Now, God will never fail. And many times we get our own emotions tied up to the point where we take it out on God. So it becomes difficult to trust him because we're worried about what happens here. Oh, this person failed me. This person talked about me. This person persecuted me. This person said this. This person said that. This person never showed up. This person never. And this person, and this person, and this person. But the only person that matters is Jesus. Now, I'm not saying that your feelings are less, but you bring them to Jesus. You bring them to who he is. You bring them to what he says. So what James says, draw near to God. If you could put that on the screen. James chapter 4, verse 8. He says, those who know your... Oh, no, wait, that's a different one. Come on, man. Just kidding. James chapter 4, verse 8. I forgot it buffers. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Just that right there. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. That takes up a whole new meaning now. Because it's not how much of me I see in him, because I will only see parts of me inside of him, the only parts that I allow, while I hide everything else. But it's really about how much of him I see in me as I surrender, as I receive the invitation of God. I need a paño. Get a paño too. So this brings on a completely different new meaning into what he's trying to say. Let me get that. Grab this one. This has a completely different meaning on what James said. Right here. Right there. And let me back up. Just put it up a little bit. Yeah. Just make sure. More. Tilt it back. There you go. I want to be able to see myself. Not because I'm conceited, it's part of the message. So seriously, I just want you guys to know that. So this is what happens. Draw near to God. You got to bring it down just a little bit. That's my fault. Right there. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. Get close to God and he will get close to you. Brings on a whole different meaning. Because I can be getting close to God in my own way, which is in partiality. And I'll only see bits of myself inside of him. But the closer I get to God in that form, I still stay veiled. See what I'm saying? So now I still can see myself in him, but I don't see him in me. Come on, I want you guys to catch that. So it's not until I start walking different. It's not until I start trusting God and I start saying, you know what, God, I'm going to start giving you everything. I'm going to make sure that everything's going. That's where he says, draw near to God, and then God will draw near to you. It's not if I just go impartial, because I'm not giving him. But as I get closer to him in fullness and I start saying, all right, God, I'm going to give you everything, the veil starts to move little by little and little by little until eventually now I don't only see me in him, but now he sees him in me. And the life that we live is a life of communion. So now when people see me, you see Cholo here? Can you see Cholo in there? Come on, you got to see him. Tell me you see him. Put it down a little bit. I see him. Can anybody, you see Cholo? You don't see him? Can you see him now? I got close. Life with, no, put that down. Can you see Cholo now? Yeah, okay. You see Cholo? See, now when people see me, they see Jesus. But that only happens in close proximity. For me to be in him, I need to be close. Because I can see myself in him every day. Oh yeah, I'm in Jesus. You know, yeah, I preach. Yeah, I sing. Yeah, you know, I go to church. Yeah, I go on Sundays and Wednesdays. And yeah, you know, I pray at home and I have a relationship with God. And all that is great and dandy. I'm not saying that's anything wrong. But have you given completely to him what belongs to him is the question. Have you given to him every pain, every hurt, everything that has gone wrong in your life, everything that happens? Because if not, then you're walking like this where, yeah, I see myself in Jesus, but I don't see Jesus in me. And that's where the big words come out, where you say, well, if they only knew me back in the world, well, if you were in Jesus, if he was in you, it doesn't really matter how you were in the world. That comes from a place of not trusting in who he is. Because when I allow him to fight my battles, it doesn't matter who I was, it matters who I am. Come on, catch that. Because when I get close to God and I have a relationship with him, it doesn't matter what I used to do, it matters what I do now, which is, God, listen, I can't do this on my own. I can't handle this by myself. David understood this because David used to go to battle all the time, and so he started praying and saying, you know what, Lord, for they persecute me. Can you please do something about it? Because I'm not going to do it. And David would say, I'm going to just meditate in the Lord day in and day out. I will be in the altars forever. I will be here with you in worship and in praise and giving you thanksgiving and giving you everything. And that's where this starts to happen, where as I walk and as I walk and as I walk, now I can see him in me. I see Jesus in me. Makes it different. Because now when people see me, they see him. They don't see me. They don't see who I am. They see who he is. So like I said earlier, that's where the Apostle Paul says we are open letters. They can see who Jesus is. They don't see who I am here. Don't dirty them or break them. I got to return those. It's called frugal spending. So the desire of God is not just for you to be in him, but for him to be in you. It's for there to be a continual communion, a continual relationship. So the best way to combat selfish ideology is by selfless, laid down, surrendered worship. I'm going to repeat that again. The best way to combat selfish ideology, where all you think is about you, where all you think is about the I, where all you think is about everything that has gone wrong. And listen, let me tell you something. I understand that life has beat you down. I understand that your problems have caused you to have a trust issue with God and with people. And I understand that things have happened in your life. But can I tell you that the only person that can truly be trusted is Jesus? Can I tell you that the only person who can truly bring any justification, who could truly make himself be reliable, is Jesus? And the only way to combat the selfish ideology is by selfless, laid down, surrendered worship. If you can get Psalm 63 on the screen. David knew this best, man. David knew what it was to give himself up in worship and surrender 100%. David knew what it was to give himself up into worship, into surrender, into praise, into relationship, into intimacy 100%. And I want to go to Psalm 63. Psalm 63. We're going to go to verse 2. And this is David in the wilderness. This is David in the wilderness. This is David when he's going, it's basically what David would look, it's what we would look like if we were in the wilderness. David was in a place of solitude. There was nothing but heat and sand. There was nothing. So he's in the wilderness. He's in this place where everything looks empty. And look what he says. He says, so I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. That one probably says it a little different, but it's okay. Just follow me. Because your steadfast love, verse 3, is better than life. My lips will praise you, so I will bless you as long as I live. In your name will be lifted up. In your name I will lift up my hands. Let's go to verse 5. You satisfy me more than the richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy. Verse 6. I lie awake thinking of you, meditating on you throughout the night. Let's go back to verse 2 real quick. And I want you guys to catch this. Because the reality of this is this. David knew what it was to surrender himself completely. He didn't give partial of himself. He gave himself wholly. And this is where you can see it all. He says, I have seen you in your sanctuary, and I gazed upon your power and your glory. So in verse 2, and I want you to catch this, in verse 2, he uses his eyes. In verse 3, he uses his lips. In verse 4, he uses his hands. In verse 5, he uses his soul. In verse 5 again, he uses his mouth. And in verse 6, he uses his mind. In all of these, he gave himself up completely. Watch. Let's go back to verse 2. He says, I have seen you in the sanctuary. Let's go to verse 3. Your unfailing love is better than a feast and life itself, and I will bless you. Now mine says, because your steadfast love is better than life on my lips. So now he uses his lips. Let's go to verse 4. He says, I will praise you as long as I live. I lift my hands up to you in prayer. So here he uses his hands. Let's go to verse 5. He says, you satisfy me more than richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy. In mine, it also says that he will use his mouth, but then he says that I will praise you. So now he's using his mouth and his soul at the same time. And then let's go to verse 6, because in verse 6 he says, I lie awake thinking of you, meditating on you throughout the night. He serves as an example of true intimacy, because David said, I hide nothing from you. I give you my lips, I give you my mind, I give you my eyes, I give you my hands, I give you my body, I give you my soul, I give you my heart. And David said, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this completely. I'm gonna give myself wholly and complete unto you, because through everything you're the answer. And he said this in the wilderness. He didn't say this in his bed. He did not say this in the castle. He did not say this in a place of riches. He did not say this while he's bathing with his servants. He didn't say this while he's drinking and eating a feast. He didn't say, no, he said this in the wilderness, alone by himself, in a desolate, dry place with nothing around him, when he couldn't see what was happening next, where he couldn't see what was going to come next. He couldn't see the answer. He couldn't see what was going on. But he said, even though I don't see it, even though I don't feel it, even though I can't sense it, God, I'm going to give you all of me completely and entirely. Completely and entirely. And he serves as an example. He serves as an example. He serves as an example of how to do this completely. Now, it might not look like this for you, please. I'm not telling you have to go throw yourself on your knees, throw your head up in the air, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's the principle behind it. The principle is I don't hold anything back from God. The principle is that I'm living in true, complete intimacy. I'm living a life laid down, surrendered. I can't do that when the I is exalted. That's why when the word says it, the word says, let me decrease so that you may increase. You guys get that? He said, let me decrease, God. Because as long as I'm in the way, it won't happen. You guys ever heard that saying, don't stick your hand in the pot? Or that the only people that know what's going on in the pot are the people that are, working on it, whatever. Well, he's the only one that knows. Don't stick your hand in there. Let him cook. I'm glad you got that. Let him cook. Let him do what he's doing. Because I promise you can trust him. And David understood this. Because David could have easily said all of this in his castle. He could have said this while he was on his throne. He was king. He could have easily said this with the gold all around him, with his crown on. He could have easily said this in a place of comfortability. But the reality is, trusting God brings you out to the uncomfortable. Take it from Peter to walk on the sea while there was a storm going on. He had to be brought out to the uncomfortable. While I'm in my comfort zone, it becomes difficult for me to give myself completely because I'm comfortable with the things around me, with the people around me. I'm comfortable. But can you get uncomfortable enough to give yourself completely to Jesus? That's the question. Can you get uncomfortable enough to say, I don't care what I lose, I'm walking with Jesus? Can you get uncomfortable enough to say, I'm going to walk with God longer than Enoch walked with God, that I'm gonna make that bet that I can walk, and even if I don't make it to 365 years of age, guess what? I'm gonna walk with him as long as I can, because as long as I'm on this earth, I'm gonna make it my mission to walk with Jesus every day of my life, because outside of him, there is nothing possibly able to sustain me. He is not just a resource, he is the source. Can you catch that today? He is not just the one that comes only in times of need. He is there at all times. He is able to be trusted. He's able to be trusted with your childhood trauma. He's able to be trusted with your broken marriage. He's able to be trusted with all your issues. He's able to be trusted with your financial problems. He's able to be trusted with everything. And if you don't believe me, listen, you don't have to take my word for it. You could take his word for it. You can take his word for it. You can take his word for it. All scripture is breathed out by God, and it's profitable for understanding, reproof, for instruction, and righteousness. You can take his word for it. This is life. This is God-breathed life. This isn't just something that you walk around with under your arm. This isn't something that you leave in your car and you never read until you come on Sunday. This isn't something that you just let sit around and collect dust. This isn't something, I promise you, don't take my word for it. If you were just to open a couple of these pages, I promise you, you will see that he's able to be trusted. He was trusted with your ancestors. He was trusted with your family. He was trusted from before you were even born or even thought of. And the reality is that inside of this book, answers are there. He's able to be trusted. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my preaching for it. He's able to be trusted. And he invites you into communion. We've been talking about relationship. We've still been on the table. We haven't even been able to leave from that. He invites you there. It's an invitation where he says, can you stay with me? Like I said, my proximity is not based on his desire to be with me. It's on me accepting the invitation. Can you accept God's invitation to dine with him? Can you accept his invitation to be with him? Can you accept his invitation to trust in him? Can you accept his invitation to love on him? Can you accept his invitation? If there's one reality to our lives, is that life hurts. If there's one reality to things that we go through, is that life can truly kick your butt. Things that we go through, problems that we see, whether they're financial, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever the case is, it's almost like life just has a way to knock you down. But let me tell you something, the Bible is so key because it says you may be pressed down, but you are not abandoned. Come on, somebody. You are shaken, but you are not destroyed. And you may be going through all of these things, and you may be seeing yourself and saying, how can I trust God when what I'm going through looks bigger than what it is? Let me tell you something. There is nothing greater than God. There is nothing greater than his presence. There is nothing greater. And listen, I know life has made a way to make you feel like there's no possible way to trust him. But let me tell you that he's the only one you can trust. He's the only one you can trust. And I invite you guys, let's stand to our feet. I love the worship set today because it was talking about living a laid down life, and they didn't even know what I was going to preach about. Now you could tell me you can't trust God. I trust him because he knew what I was going to preach, but they didn't. I'm going to be real honest with you. I was like, Lord, is this really what you want me to preach on? And look, he made a way. Today, the invitation is easy. Will you trust God? Will you trust who he says he is? And if you can, everybody just close your eyes. And I want you to understand, we don't close our eyes so that we could get closer to him, more just for the distractions. Everybody just close your eyes. Can you trust who he says he is? You see, David did not say, for those who know your works, trust in you. No. Because it's easy to trust when you can see what's going on. But he says, those who trust your name. And God's name doesn't change. He is still Jehovah Jireh. He is still Jehovah Sikkenu. He is still Jehovah Rapha. That wasn't just back in the Old Testament. That's even now in the 21st century. He is still those things. His name is still the same. He is still Alpha. He is still Omega. He is still the author and the consumer. He is God. Can you trust who he says he is? Can you trust who he says he is? Today, the invitation is easy. First, we want to open up the altar for anybody who wants to give their life to Christ. Anybody who hasn't given their life to Christ and would like to give their life to Christ today, you're more than welcome. And if we could just monitor the feed on live, if anybody on live wants to accept Christ today as well, you guys are more than welcome to just type on there that you want to accept Christ, and we will pray for you. But physically, if anybody here wants to accept Christ for the first time or rededicate their life to the Lord, you know that you've gone astray and you want to just come back to His feet, you're more than welcome to come past up front. And then the second invitation, for those that are following Christ, for those that have been in the gospel, for those that know God, but say, you know what, I've kind of lost my trust a little bit. Where you say, I need to start trusting God a little bit more. I need to start confiding in who He says He is. If you identify yourself with this message, come up front. There is no guilt, there is no shame, there is no condemnation for you. We've all been there. We want to pray with you this morning. We want to pray with you this morning. If you feel like life has just beaten you down and you feel like it's almost like you can't get out of one without going into another, and you feel like life is just not in your favor right now, and you just want to trust God a little bit more, then you're more than welcome to pass up front. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father. Jesus. If you want to get closer to God and you say, I need to get into a deeper relationship with God. I have a relationship, but I just need to get into a deeper one. You're more than welcome to pass up front. If you just need prayer, you're more than welcome to pass up front.